GM, wonderful friends. Grateful to have you here. Hello, Cucho. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, we are going to explain how we attempt to identify blue chip projects. I mean, this is definitely a title that may get a lot of attention because this is the biggest question for anyone who's trying to get into NFTs is like, how do you identify which projects are going to be here for a long term, which projects are here and they're going to die out. I mean, that is the question. That is how you find opportunities to create profit and make more value in your bag. It's not an easy task, but we are going to give it everything we got, and we are looking forward to doing it with all of you. Cucho, how are you doing today? Are you having a wonderful day? Are you excited to share all of your insider information with everyone who chooses to join in on our live stream?
Yeah, man. Like you said, it's a very big questions, but I mean, we've been in the space for 1.5 years now. So I think just, based on our journey, we can share some of the indicators that we are looking for as we evaluate whether a project is likely going to have long-term success or whether it might just be short-lived. So, yeah, let's jump into it.
Nice. Do you want to explain first? Do you want me to go, or I mean, it's not easy, but I'll give it my best shot. Or do you have something in mind? I'm all ears, my friend.
I mean, let's do one. Let's one of us start with one, and then the other one share at the next one, and then just see how it goes.
Yeah, perfect.
But yeah,
You-
I can get started. So for me, the first one I'm looking at is I'm always looking at who are the people behind the project.
mm,
And what I'm looking at there is the first one, like what's their track record. So if they either, within the NFT space, also if they've previously done something outside of the NFT space, like how did that perform? Was it successful? Whatever they've done, how did they approach it in terms of from a business and strategic perspective, in terms of their community that they built through whatever their business was or whatever their project was. So that's something that I'm paying always really close attention to. And then also, I mean, so it's like kind of like looking at their track record, looking at their past, but then also looking at the present and looking at what are the skill sets that they are as the people behind the project that they are bringing to the table. And that's one reason why I was very early drawn to Artifact, because I always felt like their founders, all three of them, have a very unique skill set. If you look at, so their three founders are Chris, Benito, and Zeptio. Benito, he's coming from like has been really successful in working with luxury brands like LVMH. In addition to that, actually had one of the lead roles with one of the biggest. Um, yeah, let me actually share the visuals you're showing. So he also had lead roles with one of the biggest esports teams. Then we have Chris. Chris is like one of in my opinion, like one of the best 3D designers out there. He has done really successful designing skins for games like Dota and Counter Strike. And in addition to that, many people actually don't know that, but with his brother together, he created one, if not the most known virtual influencer out there, which is FN Mecca. It's an account on TikTok, I think, that has above 8 million followers. So insane 3D design skills. And then on the third, on the as the last part of the founding team, we got Zaptio. Zaptio, he comes very much from the sneaker business and has successfully founded a few custom sneaker business and worked with a lot of well-known people that he designed sneakers for. And so when I found out about them, I got really excited. Like I said, that they all bring like a very unique skill set to the table. And I thought, oh, those three, given that they have these unique skill sets, if they come together, they're probably going to create very very cool things as a team. So yeah, that's one for me. Button, why don't you take it from here? What's another indicator you look for as you evaluate whether to
Yeah.
invest in a project or not for the long term?
Yeah, I want to add to that because, Artifact's a great example of like a great team and their background. Doodles is another one where they were working on CryptoKitties. So they've been in Web3 for quite some time. But the other thing that really like, and it's hard to find these, is when they're collaborating with a very large established brand. I mean, when I'm seeing Nike, which everyone knows Nike at this point, that to me is an indication of its brand awareness has already been there and the resources are available there as well. So at this point, there's a few other brands that are out there that are really trying to get into the top realm. Will they become blue chips? We're yet to see many of the established brands get in there, besides what I would say Artifact and CloneX is with Nike. But we are starting to see other companies, Adidas and Lacoste, starting to try to put a dent in there with resources and the brand awareness and all the physical shops and all the other resources that they have available. I could see them being something very valuable. V Friends is probably another great example. A lot of people know Gary V and his influence. And so looking at like bigger brands that already have a lot of things going for them is something that I'm definitely paying close attention to when I am trying to make a purchase. It doesn't necessarily mean that those are a requirement, because if you do look at what's going on in the top of OpenSea right now, most of these, I mean, Bored Ape Yacht Club really came out of nowhere, and most of these are truly Web3 based companies. But it's tough. I mean, it really is tough. You look at the founders of Bored Ape Yacht Club, who could have ever thought that this team, I mean, read this description, was going to be something that's going to get them to over $1 billion evaluation with a floor price. I mean, even in this bear market, it is quite amazing that the floor price is still at $96,000 for quite a simple JPEG. So it's difficult to really put a finger on it. I like to go on to Discord. I like to go on to Twitter. You got to be aware of the bots that are going around. But if you can see how many people are interacting with it, what is their following like, that could be another indicator. But it's definitely not a guarantee. And I think for now, I'm probably primarily talking about PFP projects. If we're going into the art direction, I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms. Perhaps I'll save that for my next bullet point. But Kucho, is there anything you want to add to what I said about finding projects that have collaborations with larger brands that are already established in, I guess we would define it as Web 2?
Yeah, I think you brought up two good points. So you said the collaborations with bigger brands, but then also something else you're looking at is what's their community like? Like, do they have
Mm-hmm.
really a big following? And then also what I like to pay attention to is if you go on the Discord, is the community just talking about like the price action, or are they really excited about what the brand is actually building, right? And what I want to see is the latter. I don't want to jump in a Discord and see everyone 24/7 just talk about the price action, because that to me is an indicator that they might just care about that but are not actually generally passionate about the what the project is building in terms of their vision. So
Interesting. That's a good point.
yeah, that's something I pay attention to. Then something that I pay attention to, something else, is I want to invest in projects where I feel like they do push the space forward, and they are doing something that I would consider as being innovative and kind of unique. And this doesn't need to mean for me that I want to they need to like completely have come up with like a different use case of NFTs, that completely differentiates themselves.
Hmm.
That doesn't need to be the case, but I do want to see that they don't just do what others have done before them and just kind of like copy a little bit the mechanisms and how they structure their brand and everything.
You
What I
you want to
do
give an
want,
example?
um, yeah, I mean, let's say, for example, I think moonbirds with like their nesting mechanism. I think that was
Okay.
kind of cool, where
Yeah.
people said, "Oh, that's something new," where they going to make it, or make people in the community like more inclined to actually nest their moonbird and not sell it, because they are accumulating rewards the longer they are nesting it. And in order to list your moonbird for sale, you're going to have to unnest it. And so
Hmm.
I think that's a cool new mechanism that I believe, have not seen before with other projects. And so something like that, I think it's cool. And like I said, this is not a complete new use case. I mean, by now we've seen probably thousands of avatar projects, but like within the use case of avatars, in PFPs, they've actually, through, for example, the nesting, are showing that they are innovating in doing things a little different than others, and I really like to see that.
Yeah, I think that's a great example. Yeah, I think that was a very good point. I'll bring up a couple other things. Once again, this is a very tough thing that we're actively trying to evaluate our own personal algorithm for, and it requires us to have a lot of conversations. But another factor that I like to look for with a project is I do look at how many total items there are and what's the distribution of those items. And ideally, I do want to see at least a uh, 50% owners to item distribution. I mean, that's what I like, but at the same time, I completely understand that that's not always going to be the case. The reason why I want to see approximately a 50% distribution is because if you only have one of those NFTs, it's a lot harder for you to let go of it and sell it. And in those types of situation, that to me is a good case for them being able to hold the floor at a solid price point. And so I do like to see 50%. If I see something where it's like, you know, 80, the majority of the assets are owned by only a few of them, then it's very, very possible that a whale can very quickly dump the quantity, and then all of a sudden with that dump, it could cause the market to shift, and you're competing on the floor. So I like to see at least 50%, and they have a lot of control of how they do this based on how they initially dropped the NFT. How did they do the mint? Was it through pre-mint XYZ? How many were you able to mint initially from the beginning? And there are a few projects that I'm I was a little bit disappointed with the format in which they did it, because they set it up where they you could mint as many as you possibly wanted to. And when people have 10 of them, they're often going to sell quite a few of them because you don't need 10, you only need one. And so I'm looking for a good solid distribution of a minimum of 50%, and that to me is a good thing. So ideally a mint of one per pre-mint raffle winner or some format like that is a good signal. Anything else you want to add to that, Kucho?
Now, I think that's another good one. And yeah, I think maybe like a couple, we wanted to keep this pretty short.
That's
And
true.
this is a conversation, right? So I
Yeah.
think with this video, we're just in the conversation. But yeah, a couple more quick ones that I pay attention to is, one is, are the creators really leveraging the NFTs as a value bridge between what they're doing? So
Mm,
what I like to see is, for example, like things like airdrops, for example. So let's pick the example. Let's pick Bored Apes. I think a good example,
okay.
right? Bored Apes done really, really well. And then what they did is, they didn't just now mint the kennel clubs as their next step in their journey, and also, raise some money, which they easily could have at that point. Instead, what they did, they used their Bored Ape NFTs as a value bridge to give that value of the kennel clubs actually to the Bored Ape holders by airdropping a kennel club to their holders. So for every Bored Ape that you own, you get a kennel club. And so from that on, they kept that theme going, right? For always using their NFTs actually as a value bridge. As a next step, they did the mutant apes with a similar situation where you got a mutant ape for free for every also for every Bored Ape you own. And then again with the other side, you got an NFT for free for every Bored Ape or mutant ape you owned. And I really like to see that because it shows that, like I said, they're using it as a value bridge, and they, very much value their collectors, and they don't just raise more money on primary. They actually, provide most of that value for their holders that invested very early into their brand. And that's the kind of approach that I want to see with brands and projects, where I believe that they are going to be in it for the long term. And then another really quick one I would say is something I look at is resources. So because this also can build on other side. Other side. So this was the land sale that Yuga Labs has done very recently. I think now it was maybe 6 weeks or so ago. But what they did is this was the biggest NFT sale ever, and I believe they raised like multiple hundreds of millions of dollars. And so what that shows me is that they now also have a lot of resources, right, to build something really cool with that. And that's for me also a positive indicator, just seeing that a team has a lot of resources to actually bring their vision for a project to life, because of course everything that these teams are building, you need money and resources to actually build that.
Well said. I think that's perfect. I think that's a good way to conclude it. And we gave it our best to give you our ideas and insight as to how we do it. We're still learning every day. The best piece of advice I could say is come learn with us. Feel free to join the HODL, our Discord. We would love to see you there. You can check us out on Twitter. We have the invite available for you. We believe that the best way for us to win is if we all win together. So feel free to find us. We're on Twitter, and yeah, we'd be honored to bring you all in to our Discord, where we try to figure out what is the best moves that we can make as a team so that we can win. WAGME, we are going to make it, but we're most likely going to make it together. So feel free to join. I appreciate you all. Kucho, anything else you want to say to our wonderful friends?
No, that's good. But yeah, join our Discord. We're also doing daily spaces Monday to Friday, and we keep doing these streams to help, educate and share some of the learnings that we're gaining ourselves as we navigate, this space. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and see you guys soon.